Welcome to Biography with Plutarch, where we delve into the lives of history's most fascinating figures, seeking to understand the complexities of human nature and the timeless lessons that can be gleaned from their experiences. Today, we turn our attention to Robert E. Lee, a man whose life has been the subject of both veneration and controversy, and whose legacy continues to captivate historians and the general public alike. Born on January 19, 1807, in Westmoreland County, Virginia, Robert Edward Lee was the fifth of 6 children to Henry Lighthorse Harry Lee and Anne Hill Carter Lee. His birthplace, Stratford Hall, was a grand estate nestled along the Potomac River, where the gentle hills and verdant forests of the Virginia countryside cradled the young Lee in a sense of tradition and nobility. As he grew up, Robert E. Lee was surrounded by the whispers of history, with his family's legacy of military honor and public service hanging like a mantle over the household. His father, Henry Lighthorse Harry Lee, was a renowned hero of the American Revolution, whose exploits on the battlefield had earned him a reputation as one of the most daring and cunning cavalry officers of his time. The stories of his father's bravery and strategic brilliance were etched into Robert's young mind, instilling in him a deep sense of admiration and respect for the military tradition. However, the Lee family's economic circumstances were far from stable, as Henry Lee's speculative ventures and lavish spending had depleted the family's resources, forcing them to rely on the charity of relatives and friends. The tension between the family's noble heritage and their precarious financial situation created a sense of uncertainty and vulnerability that would shape Robert's perspective on life. Despite these challenges, his mother, Anne Hill Carter Lee, played a significant role in his early life, instilling in him a strong sense of morality and compassion. Her gentle guidance and unwavering support helped to temper the young Lee's natural reserve and introspection, nurturing a deep empathy for others that would become a hallmark of his character. As a child, Robert E. Lee was exposed to the values of duty, discipline, and loyalty, which would shape his character and inform his future decisions. He spent hours exploring the rolling hills and forests surrounding Stratford Hall, developing a deep love for horses and the outdoors. The natural world, with its rhythms and cycles, taught him valuable lessons about patience, perseverance, and the interconnectedness of all living things. His education began at home, where he received instruction from his mother and private tutors before being sent to the Alexandria Academy in 1809. It was during this period that Lee's fascination with mathematics and engineering began to take hold, laying the foundation for his future academic pursuits. The young Lee's intellectual curiosity was fostered by the Academy's rigorous curriculum, which emphasized the importance of classical education, literature, and philosophy. He devoured books on history, geography, and science, developing a keen understanding of the world beyond his native Virginia. His natural aptitude for mathematics and problem-solving led him to excel in these subjects, earning him recognition from his teachers and peers alike. In 1825, Robert E. Lee received an appointment to the United States Military Academy at West Point, where he would embark on a journey that would define his life's purpose and test his mettle as a young officer. The historical context of his early years was marked by the tumultuous aftermath of the War of 1812. The ongoing struggle for American expansion, and the growing tensions between the North and South. As Lee navigated the challenges of adolescence and young adulthood, he was surrounded by the whispers of history as the United States began to grapple with its own identity and the consequences of its founding ideals. The nation was undergoing a period of rapid transformation, with the Industrial Revolution gaining momentum and the abolitionist movement gaining traction. The Mexican-American War loomed on the horizon, and the young Lee would soon find himself drawn into the vortex of conflict, forced to confront the complexities of war and leadership. As he stood at the threshold of this new chapter in his life, Robert E. Lee was poised to embark on a journey that would take him from the sun-drenched battlefields of Mexico to the blood-soaked trenches of the American Civil War. As we explore the early life of Robert E. Lee, we find a complex interplay between the influences of family, education, and historical circumstance, all of which would contribute to the formation of his character and shape the choices he would make in the years to come. The young Lee's experiences, though marked by privilege and tradition, were also tempered by hardship and uncertainty, forging a sense of resilience and determination that would serve him well in the trials that lay ahead. His story is one of contrasts, of nobility and poverty, of duty and desire, of loyalty and rebellion. And it is through this nuanced lens that we can gain a deeper understanding of the man who would become one of the most iconic figures in American history. As Robert E. Lee embarked on his journey at West Point, he was immersed in a rigorous academic environment that fostered his intellectual curiosity and instilled in him a strong sense of discipline and duty. The cadet life was grueling, with long hours of study, drill, and physical training, but Lee thrived under the pressure. He spent countless nights poring over mathematics and engineering texts, often by the faint light of a candle, as he worked to master the complex concepts that would serve him well in his future military career. During his 4 years at the academy, Lee excelled in his studies, particularly in mathematics and engineering, demonstrating a natural aptitude for leadership that earned him the respect of his peers. Lee's time at West Point was not without its challenges, however. He struggled with the strict rules and regulations that governed every aspect of cadet life, often finding himself at odds with the Academy's rigid disciplinary code. Despite these difficulties, Lee persevered, driven by a strong sense of duty and a desire to make his family proud. As Lee embarked on his military career, he was assigned to various posts throughout the country, including Georgia, Alabama, and Missouri. These early assignments gave him a unique perspective on the diverse regions of the United States, from the swampy lowlands of the South to the rolling hills of the Midwest. In 1831, Lee married Mary Anna Randolph Custis, a member of a prominent Virginia family, in a beautiful ceremony at Arlington House, her family's estate overlooking the Potomac River. The couple had 7 children together, and Lee's marriage and family life were deeply important to him. He was known to be a devoted husband and father, often writing heartfelt letters to his loved ones when he was away on duty. In 1846, Lee's military career took a significant turn when he was assigned to the staff of General John E. M. Wool during the Mexican-American War. The war was a defining moment in Lee's development as a military officer, and he quickly distinguished himself as a skilled and brave soldier. He played a key role in several important battles, including the Battle of Cerro Gordo and the Battle of Chapultepec, where he demonstrated his tactical genius and unwavering courage under fire. Lee was breveted to the rank of major for his heroism, a promotion that marked him as one of the most promising young officers in the United States Army. The experiences Lee had in Mexico had a profound impact on his perspective on war and leadership. He witnessed firsthand the brutal realities of conflict, including the devastating effects on civilians and the horrors of combat. These experiences shaped his approach to military strategy and tactics, leading him to emphasize the importance of speed, maneuverability, and adaptability on the battlefield. Lee's writings from this period reveal a nuanced understanding of the complexities of war, as well as a deep empathy for the soldiers under his command. After the war, Lee returned to the United States and was appointed as the superintendent of West Point, a position he held from 1852 to 1855. During his tenure, Lee implemented several important reforms, including the introduction of new courses in mathematics and science, which helped to modernize the Academy's curriculum and prepare cadets for the challenges of the rapidly changing world. He also oversaw the construction of several new buildings on campus, including the state-of-the-art engineering laboratory and a beautiful chapel that would become a beloved landmark at the Academy. Lee's strict discipline and high standards earned him the respect of his cadets, who admired his unwavering commitment to excellence and his willingness to push them to achieve their full potential. In 1855, Lee was appointed to command the 2nd Cavalry Regiment in Texas, where he played a key role in suppressing the Comanche raids that had been terrorizing settlers in the region. The vast expanse of the Texas frontier presented unique challenges for Lee and his troops, from the scorching desert heat to the ever-present threat of attack by Native American tribes. As he navigated the treacherous terrain and harsh conditions of the frontier, Lee developed a strong sense of empathy for the people he encountered, including the Comanche warriors who were fighting to protect their land and way of life. His writings from this period reveal a nuanced and thoughtful perspective on the conflicts between Native Americans and white settlers, as well as a deep appreciation for the beauty and majesty of the American West. As the tensions between the North and South continued to escalate, Lee found himself at the center of a growing storm. In 1859, he was summoned to Washington to lead a contingent of Marines in suppressing John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry, a pivotal moment in the lead-up to the Civil War. Lee's actions during this crisis were marked by calmness and professionalism as he worked to defuse the situation without bloodshed. He was praised for his role in ending the standoff, but the experience left him with a sense of foreboding about the future of the country. As he reflected on the events at Harper's Ferry, Lee couldn't help but wonder if the deepening divisions between the North and South could be bridged, or if the nation was destined for conflict. In 1861, as the Civil War loomed on the horizon, Lee was faced with an impossible decision, whether to remain loyal to the United States or to follow his home state of Virginia into secession. The weight of this choice hung heavy on his conscience as he grappled with the moral implications of slavery and secession. He wrote to his sister, "I did not think it was right to take up arms against my native state, and I could not bring myself to do so." These words capture the anguish and uncertainty that Lee felt as he struggled to reconcile his duty to the Union with his loyalty to his family and community. As the Civil War ravaged the nation, leaving in its wake a trail of devastation and heartbreak, Lee's decision to follow Virginia into secession would forever alter the course of his life. The once peaceful landscapes of the South were now scarred by the relentless march of armies, the staccato beat of gunfire, and the anguished cries of the wounded. It was amidst this chaos that Lee emerged as a beacon of leadership, becoming the commander of the Confederate forces and leading them through numerous battles, including the First Battle of Bull Run, Antietam, and Gettysburg. The memories of those battles would forever be etched in his mind, like the lines on a well-worn parchment. He recalled the sweltering summer heat of July 1861, when the Confederate Army had scored a decisive victory at Bull Run, sending shockwaves throughout the North. The cries of triumph from his troops still echoed in his ears, as did the haunting images of the fallen soldiers, their bodies strewn across the battlefield like autumn leaves. As he navigated the complexities of war, Lee remained committed to his principles, writing, "It is well that war is so terrible, otherwise we would grow too fond of it." These words, penned in a moment of introspection, reveal a profound understanding of the human cost of conflict and the importance of preserving one's humanity in the face of unimaginable violence. The weight of responsibility hung heavy on his shoulders as he grappled with the moral implications of leading an army that fought to preserve a way of life built on the backs of enslaved people. The contradiction between his loyalty to his family, community, and state and his duty to the Union had long plagued him. As he wrote to his wife, Mariana, "I did not wish to leave the Union, but I could not stay in it and fight against my own people." This poignant admission speaks to the anguish that tore at his heart as he struggled to reconcile his sense of duty with his sense of morality. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, Lee's strategic brilliance and unwavering dedication earned him the respect of his peers and the admiration of his troops. His commitment to his men was evident in every aspect of his leadership, from the careful planning of battles to the compassionate care of the wounded. As he rode through the camps, his presence seemed to inspire a sense of calm and confidence, like a gentle breeze on a summer's day. The soldiers would often gather around him, listening with rapt attention as he spoke of honor, duty, and country. In 1865, as the Confederacy teetered on the brink of collapse, Lee surrendered to General Ulysses S. Grant at Appomattox Courthouse, marking the effective end of the Civil War. The scene was one of somber solemnity, like a requiem mass for a dying dream. As Lee dismounted his horse and approached Grant, the weight of defeat hung heavy in the air, like a physical presence that could be felt but not seen. And yet, even in the midst of sorrow and defeat, Lee embodied the dignity and honor that had defined his life, like a beacon shining brightly in the darkness. The moment was poignant, filled with a sense of loss and longing. As he signed the instrument of surrender, Lee's mind must have wandered back to the long and winding road that had led him to this moment. The memories of his childhood, spent playing on the rolling hills of Virginia, the years at West Point, where he had honed his skills as a soldier, the Mexican-American War, where he had first tasted the bitter sweetness of victory. All these and more swirled together in a maelstrom of emotion. Following the war, Lee became the president of Washington College, a position he held until his death in 1870. As he walked through the quiet streets of Lexington, Virginia, he must have felt a sense of peace wash over him, like a gentle rain shower on a spring morning. The college, with its quaint buildings and lush gardens, seemed to embody the very spirit of renewal and rebirth that Lee had longed for. He threw himself into his work, using his legendary organizational skills to rebuild and strengthen the institution, which would eventually become Washington and Lee University. His commitment to education and reconciliation helped to heal the wounds of a nation still reeling from the devastating effects of war. As he wrote to a friend, "I think it is the duty of every citizen in the present condition of the country to do all in his power to aid in the restoration of peace and harmony." These words speak to the depth of his conviction, as well as his desire to forge a new path forward, one that would bring together the fractured remnants of a nation. As he reflected on his life, Lee observed, "I have been up to see the Congress, and they do not seem to be able to do anything except to eat, drink, and make speeches." This wry comment reveals a deep-seated frustration with the political machinations of his time, as well as a longing for a more authentic and meaningful form of leadership. Robert E. Lee's life concluded on October 12, 1870, when he passed away due to complications from pneumonia. The news of his death sent shockwaves throughout the nation, like ripples spreading across a still pond. Americans from both the North and South came together to mourn the loss of a man who had embodied the complexities and contradictions of their shared history. As they reflected on his life, they were reminded of the profound nuance and complexity that had defined him, a man who had struggled to reconcile his loyalty to his family and community with his duty to the Union. Today, Lee is remembered as a multifaceted figure whose legacy extends far beyond his role as a Confederate general. He is celebrated for his unwavering commitment to duty, honor, and country, as well as his compassion, empathy, and kindness. That's all for today's Biography with Plutarch. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, remember that understanding the lives of remarkable individuals helps us better understand ourselves.